What is going on, everybody, and welcome to a brand new series on my channel. This is a new series where I just try and predict the results and the scores of the Premier League each weekend. So if you like the concept of the video and you do like the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. Also, if you like the video, give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to leave your predictions in the comment section below so we can have a nice friendly debate about it. So without further ado, let's get into the predictions. So we start with probably the biggest game of the weekend. It's on Friday night, 8 o'clock, Chelsea versus Liverpool. So we'll start with Chelsea. They're coming into this game off the back of a draw against Swansea, which they should have won, but they just let it slip. They went out of control, and they did well to even salvage a point out of that game. They also have John Terry injured. I think he has an ankle injury. He's going to be out for the next 10 days. So that should mean that Chelsea's bring back signing of David Luiz should surely start, and that will either shore up the defence better or just absolutely annihilate them and destroy them. I'm not sure, but we'll see how that plays out. Liverpool come into this game after a spectacular performance against Leicester. 4-1 victory at home against Leicester, an absolutely brilliant performance. They have no injuries, so they have a full team to pick from. I think Dejan Lovren's back. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Liverpool fans, tell me down below if that's good or bad. But other than their bad game against Burnley, in which they lost 2-0, Liverpool have been the better side in the three teams they have played, and that's Arsenal, Spurs and Leicester. So they're three solid teams. So my prediction for this game is Liverpool to win. I think they have a great momentum, and Jurgen Klopp's style of football is surely to cause Chelsea problems. So I'm predicting a 2-1 win to Liverpool here. So we start off our Saturday football with Hull versus Arsenal. So we'll start with Hull. They come into this game after drawing their last game against Burnley. Burnley were 1-0 up most of the game and should have seen it out, but it was all thanks to a Robert Snodgrass wonder goal that got the 1 point for Hull, in which they probably did deserve, but they just scraped it. And now I think the players are starting to realise what their season is going to be really like. So Arsenal coming into this game off a 1-1 draw against Paris Saint-Germain, in which they had to dig their heels in and show their Champions League experience, but that's a good sign. And then their last Premier League game was against Southampton, and they just scraped 3 points like that again. So they're not playing too well, but they still are getting points, which is a good sign for a team that aren't playing well. They also have a couple of injuries coming into this game. Aaron Ramsey, I think, is set to be out for another week, and Theo Walcott didn't play against Paris Saint-Germain because something to do with his knee, I think. So that's Aaron Ramsey and Theo Walcott out of the squad, and I think Giroud and Xhaka are coming back into the squad. So it's kind of rotating injuries like they do every season. But I can't see past Arsenal in this game. So my prediction for this game is a 2-0 win to Arsenal. Okay, our next game is Leicester versus Burnley. Leicester got an outstanding win against Club Brugge on their Champions League debut on Wednesday, and it's becoming clear that they've signed some serious talent over the summer. And the only reason they kind of got destroyed against Liverpool because Liverpool's pace and counter-attacking is just, it's unreal, and Leicester just simply couldn't handle it and got destroyed 4-1. I cannot see Burnley carrying the same threat that Liverpool did, and Leicester's counter-attacking and their ability to break down teams like they did last season, I think it's just going to be too much for Burnley. So my prediction for Leicester versus Burnley is a 2-0 win to Leicester. Okay, Man City versus Bournemouth. Man City have actually won every single game under Pep Guardiola so far. That's 7 in all competitions now after their win on Wednesday against Borussia Mönchengladbach. Like the way I said that. Practiced that a few times. And then last Saturday, in the early game on Saturday against Man United, they were just unbelievable. They absolutely just walked all over Man United, except for a bad keeper every now and again. But that should have been a penalty to Man United, so maybe they should have drawn that match. That's not me to say though. And that match was without Aguero. They're obviously without Aguero again this week. I think he's back next week or the week after, I'm not really sure. But City's start to this season is just unbelievable. Now, Bournemouth got their first win of the season against West Brom last week, but there was still a spell in the second half where West Brom just absolutely destroyed Bournemouth. And I think Bournemouth are a good team, but they're not on the level of Man City. So for this game, I'm predicting a 3-0 win to Man City. Okay, West Brom versus West Ham. Now, West Ham absolutely showed nothing in the first half against Bournemouth, and they just came out in the second half with a bit of a bit of fighting spirit, and they look like a good solid squad under Tony Pulis. But it just seems like there's stuff, like I think there is stuff going on in the background of West Brom where they're waiting for a financial takeover and all that jazz, and Tony Pulis just doesn't seem like he's actually motivated towards the club anymore. But that could be me just speculating, but that's the way just I feel. And West Ham, I don't know what happened last week. They were 2-0 up against Watford and they just absolutely lost all control and lost 4-2. So I think we might see a positive reaction from West Ham players after they collapsed basically from 2-0 to lose 4-2 at home to Watford as well. The way that game went, I think a point for West Ham would be a good result to start moving forward. So I'm predicting a 1-1 draw. Okay, our late game on Saturday, Everton versus Middlesbrough. Everton's boss, Ronald Koeman, has competition replaced and is not afraid to make big decisions, like taking Ross Barkley on at half time at Sunderland on Monday was a huge decision. Like, Ross Barkley is a massive player and any other manager would have just left him on just for the sake of the fans. But Ronald Koeman's not a name player, he plays players how they play basically. And now that Lukaku scored an absolute like a screamer of a hat-trick as well against Sunderland on Monday, looks like things are looking up and going well for Everton. Middlesbrough, on the other hand, have made a solid start to the season despite seeing their unbeaten run ended at Crystal Palace last week, but it's hard to see them getting anything at Goodison Park, just the way everything's like coming together now for Everton. So I'm predicting a 3-0 win for Everton. Big win. Okay, we move on to Sunday. Watford versus Manchester United. Watford have already played and lost to Chelsea and Arsenal at home this season, so it's been a very tough start, and it sure enough does not get easier for them. They are playing Manchester United at home. Now, in their last game, Watford did have a great comeback, but I think it's caused to West Ham just absolutely falling apart at the same time. They were 2-0 down to West Ham and they ended up coming back and winning it 4-2. Great comeback, but I think that's as good as it gets for Watford. Now, after Manchester United have lost their last 2 games in a row, they lost the derby and then they lost in the Europa League as well last night, 1-0 to Feyenoord. I can't see anything but a Manchester United win here. It is going to be a close win because Mourinho is trying to get the ball back rolling again. It's going to be a close win, so I'm predicting a 2-1 victory to Manchester United. Okay, Crystal Palace versus Stoke. Now, Stoke do feel hard done by some of the decisions that's gone against them this season, but in their last game against Tottenham, they were awful bad at home as well. Stoke City at home used to be a force to be reckoned with, and then Tottenham just walked in and absolutely destroyed them. So Stoke really need to start picking up the slack. Crystal Palace got their first win of 2016 last week against Middlesbrough. They're a good solid squad. I think last week they found out how to kind of work with Christian Benteke's strength and starting to get him scoring again. So I think that'll be much the same this week against Stoke, and I think it's going to be a 2-1 victory to Crystal Palace. So our next game is Southampton versus Swansea City. It was a great comeback by Swansea to draw with Chelsea last week, but they are still without a win since beating Burnley on the opening day of the season. Southampton do not have a win under their new manager, but they had enough chances to beat Arsenal last week before losing to a last gasp penalty. So unlucky, and I think their wait for 3 points will be over against Swansea City. I am predicting a 1-0, a close win, a 1-0 victory to Southampton. And last but not least, we have Tottenham Hotspur against Sunderland. Sunderland were very poor in their 3-0 defeat at home to Everton on Monday night. Once Everton raised the level in the second half, they just fell apart. This looks like another massive test for Sunderland, and I don't think it's going to be easy for them. Spurs did lose during the week in the Champions League to Monaco. They dominated the game, dominated possession, but they just got picked apart with experience in Monaco, because Monaco are kind of used to the Champions League. Spurs they just tried to went out, dominate the game, and it just didn't work out. So I think they're going to try and bounce back here. I think it's going to be a big win. I think they're going to win 3-0 to Tottenham Hotspur. Okay, that is the end of my predictions for this week. If you have any other predictions, please leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget to give the video a like, and if you like this series, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so I know to make more of them. And I'll see you in the next video I make.